Hi girls, welcome or welcome back to the Cozy Corner, where we get to be ourselves and have real girl chats. If you are someone who enjoys talking about juicy details of womanhood, epiphanies, friendship, money, dating, and more, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Let's jump into the topic. I hate to be such a Debbie Downer if you are a lover of Love Island. But my beef with Love Island is that it's showing the slop that is the dating world, and they're attaching the word love to it. I don't understand that. I don't understand why the show isn't called Hookup Holiday. That is more fitting, and that would just make more sense because that is what the show is about. The show is not about love. Love does not look like what Love Island shows. And if you have ever dated someone ever and actually fallen in love or grown into love with someone, you know this is true. What we see on Love Island is not love. That's not even really how it usually starts. Yes, if you get lucky, there are some people, right, we've seen who do get lucky, but their relationships are not based on love. They're based on lust. And a lot of that is short-lived, as we know. I'm not a prude. I'm also not religious. My take is not a religious aspect of like, people shouldn't be expressing love. Like, I would have done well in the 60s. I want people to love and be loved and love who you want to love and however many people you want to love. I do not care. I'm not a prude. Don't care. But I don't even watch the show because I don't have to. I don't need to. I've already gotten basically prepped for what that show actually is because I've seen Married at First Sight, Love is Blind, The Ultimatum. I've seen some of The Bachelor. So I'm not confused about how these love shows go, okay? I also understand that and respect the fact that someone wrote the concept that came up with the premise of this show years and years back, right? Because how much of a craze Love Island is right now isn't where it even started. A lot of shows, their first season isn't such a breakout. I believe, didn't it take like 3, 4, 5, now 6 seasons for it to be an insane global craze? And this came about because when they ushered in the host Ariana from after Scandival, okay, like I'm telling you, I'm aware, I'm locked into what's going on with like reality shows and all of that. It blew up. I actually respect that, love that. And I love that she's hosting. I would love to be a TV host one day. That is so cool. It's always been something I'm into. You have to be on it. You have to be a wordsmith. You have to have energy. You have to be on your A game. So like there's that aspect where I'm like, yes, go Ariana. They brought in Meg Thee Stallion. They to come up with this whole concept that draws in viewership. Wow. Because you can spend all this money when it comes to media. There's so much money that's spent and then it flops. Missed opportunities, waste of money. So I respect the hustle. What I don't like is that Love Island is the final destination of dating. It's catastrophic. It's mirroring back the worst, most toxic, gross, it's just too lustful. And I don't even like using that term because that sounds so pious of me, and I'm not a pious person. Like, I'm just not. But if it's too much for me, then I think it's just doing too much. I've seen the love shows, like I was mentioning, The Ultimatum, the one back in 2020 with Francesca and Harry, where you can't hook up because it makes the money become less. And there's like this voice. I've seen all that. I was watching The Real World back in the day. I was watching Big Brother. I've seen it all. I love reality. I love a good, what is it called? Trash TV, brain rot. I love it. But it should be called Hookup Holiday. I had to even stop watching Love is Blind after the DC season because I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, there are people who are really getting their hearts involved just for them to be crushed, and I just can't watch that. Like, I don't watch horror films because I don't want to see Freddy Krueger when I close my eyes when I'm like letting the water run over my face in the shower. So I don't want certain imaging and messaging sticking into my brain. And so when I stopped watching horror films, guess what? That didn't happen anymore, you see? So I don't really care for toxic messaging to be mirrored back to me about the dating world, because all that does is stick with you. And then you take that into the real world when you're actually on dates and people don't realize it, but you are going to just sort of act that way or repeat certain things that you've seen but you weren't even a part of, or carry certain messaging that you never in the first place would have even carried because of what you are watching and taking in. I don't need the over the top, intense, sexual, lustful, dramatic makeout with 20,000 people in one day. Toxic energy. I just don't. I'm good. I'm aware. I live in this world. I think I know toxic men and toxic women. I see how that is and I don't want to get involved in it. So why would I promote it? Like, and by watching it, I see enough of the clips online. I know what's going on. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand what is going on in the show. And my sister says, oh, are you gonna stop being so stuck up and finally watch it? And I'm like, I'm not stuck up. I just don't need to watch it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I don't need to watch in order to figure out what is going on. What's the point? Another aspect of these love reality shows in general, it's not just Love Island, but Love Island is the prime example. What shows do is they bring in the first 2 to 3 seasons, which I understand why. They bring in the most attractive people who somehow can't seem to find love. Okay? So the viewers go, wow, they're so hot. They're so interesting. They're built, bodies built, men and women. Wow, they're hot. Who are they? It draws us in, right? That's fine. I love watching hot people do hot things. Who doesn't? Then it can taper off and they'll start bringing in the different outliers of the characters that they want. They'll do, it's not just heterosexual, and there will be people who aren't the perfect weight and size, and not everyone is white, and this and that. They start to bring in more color, more this, more that. That's not the typical all-American perfect build person. Okay? That's always going to be a thing. My issue is that all of these shows in general, they're not actually offering a sort of solution, because the hot people are trying to figure out, why am I not with someone? If I work on my body so much and I have all this money and I get my hair cuts and my hair done and this and that and the extensions and the weave and the tapers and the fades, and then why can't I find love? The shows, all they do is put you in this space so you can reinforce your toxic behavior that keeps you single forever. Because Love is Blind, for instance, no one has solved the problem. Love is not blind. That's another thing. I don't watch it because it's not true. It's silly. I'm like, looks matter, so stop acting like they don't. But don't try and force people without genuinely getting to the root of why looks matter, and then just dumping them and being like, well, good luck. Sorry you didn't find any love this season. They're never going to probably find love, and they didn't need to go on a show to be like lied to that they would if they don't see the person, because that's not how it works. It's deeper than just taking away what someone looks like. And then once they see them, they're gonna fall into the same pattern like anyone else would. So there's no solution, there's no therapy or deeper conversation that gets people who are really, really hot and really, really perfect and really, really sexy and rich and influencers that they put on these shows. There's no solution to get them to see you are single because you have too many options and you keep sifting. And based on the probability of how many people you've actually already come across, you already met your wife or husband 30 people back, but you never stopped. That is actually why hot people can't find love, but the shows will not tell anyone this, or they just won't, because that doesn't really get views, okay? Have you ever seen and I just have to be frank about it, people who are way less attractive could be considered dorky, they're LARPing, they're really into comic books, their bodies aren't that great, they focus on other things besides their looks. Have you noticed they all got a girl in their arm? They all seem to be doing just fine. They're married, they're LARPing together, they're going to their little festivals. What do you call that? Like think of like Shrek. What is that? The Gilded Age. They're going to their festivals together and dressing up and doing cute, weird things. But they're not a 10 out of 10. You have to be honest. They're just not. How is it that they find love? It's because they're not doing the Love Island style of dating. They know where they sit on a certain level of attractiveness and resources, and they're not constantly looks maxing or just obsessed with out earning and outpacing and where's my value in the sexual marketplace. They're not doing that. They're focused on, where am I at right now? Who am I gonna find so they can treat me well and I can treat them well? If these shows like Love Island, Love is Blind, The Ultimatum, whatever it is, if they would focus on values, they say they do, but they're not bringing in people who with those real values. So I don't think it's also, the producers can't necessarily figure out if people lie. That's another take on it. You can't, there are people who like sneak in and they just want to be on TV. I think it's a lot of them too. But if you got people to understand on these shows that you need to take the lust out of the equation and the toxic behavior and the let's make out with all of these people at once in one day or whatever it is in 1 week, because that's not how you find love. If you would take that out and stop pushing out this message to people in the world who watch the show that is love, you would just have people on a different playing field understanding how to navigate the dating world. So that's my beef. I just don't need to sit around and watch slop be the narrative to be pushed out. I'm good. Thank you so much. I can come across slop in the dating world anytime I want. All you have to do is walk outside of your house and you will get that. Why would I sit around and watch a show that reinforces the what I don't want to be around, what I think is horrible behavior? And you see examples of narcissists and people who are really insecure, but they're bigging up their chest, they're very arrogant, or women and men, both of them, both gender. You see these women and men with deep rooted issues that have nothing to do with what they actually look like, or maybe they do have a genuine hope for love, but their toxic, narcissistic, self-obsessed, self-absorbed, or insecure behavior will not allow them to get out of their own way. I don't need to sit around and watch that. I believe that entertainment is supposed to be positive or informative or just pure funny. And I'm sorry, You know, sue me if I don't find it funny anymore to watch people ruin dating, because dating is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be romantic and energetic and something that people look forward to. And look where we're at right now. I don't find that entertaining. I just don't. I don't. Call me toxic because I don't find that entertaining, okay? What are your thoughts? Do you love Love Island? If you do, that's fine. If you don't, why? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.